Hi there, I'm Tate Drynan. I'm here to interview for the position of Residence Office Assistant. Looking through my resume, I have a variety of skills, competencies, and experiences that do make me a prime candidate for the Resident Office Assistant position. In my work experience, I've always worked in a situation where customer service has been the main point of my job, whether it be at McDonald's, where I'm interacting with a different customer every 5 or 6 seconds, really, or Petro-Canada, where it was a full serve, less busy but more intimate relationship. The whole reason that place stays in business is because the customers leave feeling satisfied, feeling that they appreciate the time and effort we put in, and know that they'll get that the next time they come. So whether it be at McDonald's or Petro-Canada, customer service has really been the focal point of my jobs. Not only this, these jobs taught me how to be a problem solver, especially at Petro-Canada, where I work almost exclusively by myself. I have to be able to handle and deal with any situation that comes to me without immediately going to seek help, because there's no manager there, there's no co-worker who's been there longer, who's had different experiences than me to help me through it. I have to solve it there and then. In addition to being a good solo worker in that way, I've also learned how to be a fantastic team member. Being at McDonald's, we had times where we had over 20 employees on the floor. I worked at a McDonald's in Brampton that was month to month the busiest, if not one of the busiest McDonald's in the GTA. And having to do that, you don't get through the day without having good cooperation work and good teamwork with your co-workers. Being able to communicate, talk to each other, see what's happening, what are they doing, what will they have done soon, and what can you do to help them get their job done. And this allowed me to work at a fast pace, effectively, and stay detail-oriented through it. Working at both places, I had to learn how to, of course, handle cash, handle debit, all that jazz. But in addition to this, keeping your work area clean is kind of fundamental when you're working in food, because dirty work area will not only look bad to customers who can see your work area. McDonald's is a very open restaurant. Like, you can see what people are doing, see how clean the place is, and if it's not clean, they're not going to want to eat from there. Same with the gas station. Customers don't want to walk into a dirty store, use a dirty washroom, anything like that. Between these two jobs, learning skills was paramount. At McDonald's, there's a million things to do, between the way each sandwich is made, the way you bag each thing, where everything is in the back. We have a lot of products and a lot of things to do, more so than even like a Tim Hortons would, or a Subway, or anything would, because we have such a wide variety of products, from ice cream, tea, coffee, sandwiches, baked goods. There's a lot you have to deal with. Same but different thing with Petro-Canada is the fact that while there might be less to know, having to know it is more crucial. Because at McDonald's, let's say, oh, I forget how to make this type of McFlurry, because we have the seasonal ones and people do forget how to make those. But at Petro-Canada, if you don't know how to do something, either you have to bother your boss who's doing other stuff at a different store through a phone call, or figure it out for yourself. And really, your employer wants you to figure it out for yourself. And you'll have to, especially when you're working late and your boss is home having dinner with his family, or even asleep. It's not fair to go and bother them, so you have to figure it out yourself. In addition to my employment at McDonald's and Petro-Canada, I've done some volunteer work. I've been a member of both the biology and chemistry society. And in those places, it kind of gave me the opportunity and ability to work on my organizational and I guess administrative skills. I had to plan out, promote, and ensure that the events that we put on were a success, so that we could fundraise back the money so we can hold a next event and ensure that the students in our programs felt like they had a school and a group that cared about them and cared about their interests. Coaching basketball also allowed me to work on my organizational skill, because believe it or not, getting every parent and every kid to practice is kind of a nightmare. They don't always want to go. Parents don't really consider like their 10-year-old's house league basketball a priority a lot of the times. So getting the people to the practice and the games, to build a strong team, to build the camaraderie and the respect between teammates that you really want is difficult, because without going to practice, without coming to the games, the kids miss out on what sports are there to do, is to get them socialized, get them to interact, and get them to feel like they belong to something. Obviously, I'm a student at Nipissing. I'm in the biology program, and I consider myself a very strong student. I do well in school. I maintain a good average in a program that is fairly difficult. And I think that shows that I'm able to learn, able to solve problems, and able to handle my time effectively. The next question is asking about a time I had to deal with a difficult or upset customer or colleague, and the steps I took to resolve the concern and leave the interaction with a positive note. What came back to me was a couple of situations when working at McDonald's, especially when I was really young, of having to bring out someone's food to an individual we've parked through drive-thru. That means that like when they came to the window, their food wouldn't have been ready, but the person behind them, their food would be ready. So we're like, could you park at this spot and we'll bring it out to you when it's ready. That way we can keep customers coming and not waste everybody's time. Unfortunately, with a system of a great number of employees, up to 20, sometimes even more than 20, and 30, as many as 30 orders on the screen at a time, orders can get lost. And without the customer right there in our face, we can forget about them. So there have been a couple of times where I've had to bring food out to a car that had been waiting 15 or more minutes for their food. And I would, just like them, be very unhappy with the service they received that day. So whenever I headed out to a car that was parked, I would ensure that my body language spoke volumes about how I felt. So I'd make sure that as I'm walking to the car and they see me, that they can tell that I'm apologetic, tell that not only myself, but we as a team, we as a company are not satisfied or happy about the wait that they had. When I'm interacting with the customer, I immediately tell them that we're sorry, again, to make them understand that everyone's sorry and it was everyone's fault, and that we understand that what we did was not acceptable. I continued this by allowing them to speak their mind, allow them to feel like they've been heard. So whether it's a complaint, they have an issue with the way our system is run, or whatever, it's important for me to make sure that they're heard. That way, they feel like at least their wait was worth something, and at least somebody's listening to them about why they're upset. And it's not just like here, you have your food, get out of here. You want to make sure that they're respected. After this, again, apologize again, ensure them that they have all the food, everything's good. Everything is still hot, cooked well, everything. And then apologize again, and get back to work. If they had anything specific that they'd want to say to my manager, I'd make sure to relay what they said to them, and hopefully myself and the team can improve on the future. The next question is managing competing goals. An example of this, is just applying for this job right now. The beginning of this semester was a little more busy than I've been used to. Usually the first couple weeks of school is pretty relaxing and there's not much to do. But this semester it feels like all my profs have been being like, oh, I'll help you out by pushing this earlier so that when other classes have it later, it's not all at the same time. And I appreciate what they're doing. They're trying to make, school easier and better for their students, but having to deal with a few classes that have really early midterms and preparing for this job, it's been a little stressful. But what I do is and first acknowledge deadlines. When something is due and it's something due immediate, it's obviously of more importance than something else. But when I'm looking ahead, maybe 5 days a week in advance, I make a list. And as simple as that sounds, I think lists are very important, because if you spend a lot of time paralyzed thinking about what should I do first, what's more important, you're spending a lot of time doing nothing. So you make a list and you just start crossing them off. You climb up these things you have to do like a ladder, one goal at a time, and eventually you cross everything off the list you need to before the deadline hits. What helps is also dividing big tasks into smaller tasks. So instead of, let's say, I have to get all the work I have to get done for interviewing and applying for this job with the poster and the video interview we're doing right now, I split it into individual things. Like here, I need to make the poster, and I also need to convert it to the right file format. Same with this video, they break that into its own thing. And then as well as at the end, making sure I have plenty of time to have the Google form and make sure that all the things I'm bringing to you are in the right format and handed to you before the deadline. I think breaking things down into small pieces and crossing them off one at a time is the best way to deal with tasks that you can't do at the same time. The next question is about a time I've set a goal for my own personal growth and development and the steps I needed to take to get me there. And the weirdest thing, the biggest thing I'm proud of, and it's a little weird, is me teaching myself in like grade 12 in the first year of university how to use Excel, or what I mostly use is Google Sheets, but teaching myself that process, not having a class for it, or not having my parents or a friend specifically teach me how to do it, and pretty much do it all on my own, was extremely satisfying. What I did was I tried to make it as fun as I could for myself. I took this little mobile game that I had as like I'll do this in my spare time as a hobby just because it's a little fun. And I tracked my stats in it. I tracked my wins, my losses, the cards I used in it, all sorts of other stuff. And I started, making graphs, making equations, and making all this stuff. And it was a long process. It didn't happen overnight. And I made sure that, I stuck to sort of a schedule. It wasn't a strict schedule, as it wasn't the primary focus in my life, but I made sure that every week I did a little something to get better, and I challenged myself. I'd be like, okay, I've been doing this thing for a while. It's gotten repetitive. How can I change it a little bit so that I can continue to challenge myself and improve myself. And in the process of that, I've become obviously not like the best in the world, or like even like some like an amazing person at it, but I've become very competent at it, and it's something I'm really proud of, actually. Moving on to the next question. Diversity, equity, and inclusion are 3 core values for student development and services. Tell me about a time you've promoted or supported these values. Growing up in Brampton, I was always kind of immersed in other cultures. I went to a school where like 90 to 95% of the students were of Asian ethnicities, and it was interesting to grow up where really I was a minority, and it gave me a different perspective. It made me realize from an early age that people aren't different because of their skin color or really anything. And so I mean, I've always seen people as equal. Inclusion is a thing. I mean, not only just with minorities, whether it be racial or sexual orientation, just inclusion of people in general has always been a sore spot for me, because in high school and even in middle school, I always felt a little bit unincluded from groups and events and things that people were doing, and so it's always hit a sore spot for me. So I never really knew why they were excluding me or stuff like that, but I've really kind of made it a point of effort as I've gotten older and matured to include people, really no matter what, whether it be intramurals, including people who, oh, I'm new at the sport or stuff like that. Making sure people feel valued and feel loved is an important aspect of who I am as a person. Not only that, but coaching basketball, you can't really have bias on anything, really. You have to treat all these kids equally and evaluate all their skills equally. And I think that experience has also made me understand that again, everyone's equal. Diversity is kind of a blessing, and that everyone should feel loved and included. Next one's about a time I've received constructive feedback and the steps I took in my response. So, in high school, I really wasn't a great student. I was lazy. I missed classes. I really didn't care. But this teacher I had, Miss Shannon, she taught me grade 10 science, grade 11, and grade 12 biology. She kind of is the reason I whipped myself into shape, really. She every year kept getting more and more out of me and ensured that that I could get somewhere. And in grade 12 was really the biggest, I guess, feedback I got, was where she let me know that I was a smart kid. She could see that. I mean, I think most teachers can tell when a kid is smart and has potential. But she told me, yes, I'm lazy. And if I don't change this, I won't get to where I want to get in life. And this coming from someone who I really respected and really valued the opinion of, hit me hard, and it really changed the way I prepared for the final exam, like for the exams in grade 12. And then second semester, after I didn't have her anymore, I continued to work hard, and that effort has continued into university, and it's only really grown as I keep pushing myself to learn better and better study techniques, better and better ways to push myself to spend more time or pay more attention in class. A project I've completed that you're especially proud of is coaching basketball and finally winning a championship, albeit house league, through coaching. And I think that I played basketball a lot of my, at least middle school to high school life, and I did, we won from time to time doing that. But as a coach, I coached 3 years, and we became I think third or fourth, however you want to put it. We didn't have a bronze medal game. Second, and then finally we won. I think that is something I'm proud of, because I put a lot of time and effort into making sure these kids develop skills, develop as a team, and developed as people. I think that's one of the overlooked aspects of sports, and not even just sports, but signing your kid up for something, whether it be dance, sports, art, or music lessons. It's all a valuable part of becoming a better person. It teaches them skills, teaches them discipline that it's hard to teach your kid yourself as a parent. So I always took practices and games to focus more on not just oh, can you now do a layup? Oh, can you do a layup left-handed? But more getting them to realize what they can accomplish if they work hard, what it means to value other people and respect your other teammates, how it's better to be a team than an individual person, and it's just being able to go all the way and win the championship with a collection of people who are probably the best people I've coached, but not necessarily the best or most talented team I've coached or even in that league. Felt really satisfying, and I felt that I really made an impact on the kids' lives on my team, and I'm really proud of that. Anyways, thank you for listening to my interview, watching me, and I hope you consider me for the position. Thank you.